All right, Shalom. First off, and give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua Bashem Kakadas. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. And it's a shit Shalom to the Ankim out here that's doing and pushing his work of truth and necessity. I'm going to go on this video, okay, um, based off of the phrase, you'll own nothing and be happy, okay? And it says it's attributed to the World Economic Forum, okay, for the 2016 essay by Danish politician Ida Auken, Auken, right? And it says, Auken's essay was a thought experiment about the sharing economy and technology, and she did not use the word happy in the original text. Um, Critics interpret the phrase as an indication that the WEF desires to limit personal property ownership. Okay, this is the world that we're going gearing towards right now. Okay, well we already are technically in it. Okay, um, we'll go ahead and get the script because I was looking at this from ChatGPT, right? Uh, Free public, you know, it said, what does America have that is actually free for the public, right? And it says, in the U.S., while not much is truly free in the sense of costing nothing to provide, most are funded by taxes. There are still quite a few publicly available services that don't cost individuals anything at the point of use. Okay, and it says, uh, here goes some examples, right? Um, Public libraries, okay, which that could get shut down at any time, especially depending on what city or state you in, okay. Public parks and playgrounds that gets shut down, okay. Voting, okay. Voting is pointless. You go into the scriptures, okay. Um, it says public school, right? It says that's funded through the taxes, right? It's like an institution. The institutionalize you in there, okay? They don't even teach you about money in school, okay? The things that you really, you know, need to learn out in the real world, okay, to survive, you know. Um, it says fire department services, police services, um, emergency weather alerts, and FEMA resources. Keep that in mind. Okay, city-run shelters and cooling, warming centers in extreme weather. Right, which those things get shut down at any moment. Okay. Um, it says digital, like public Wi-Fi, some government websites, um, free educational content, right? Um, which that's all institutionalized, information. Okay. Um, right here it says health and safety services, public health clinics. Okay. Then it says low cost vaccinations, right? That, like, come on now, how it's not free if it's low cost, but the fact that it says offer free or low cost vaccinations, STD testing and health screening, okay, is that stuff it might not cost you, okay, at that, point in time, but, eventually, it comes at a point in time, okay? And that's, public health, okay? But it says, uh, which you gotta watch what we say still, I'm thinking, okay? But, the next one, free jump shot testing and, the vaccine programs, okay? Poison control hotline, mental health crisis, okay? So, these are things that they say are, I say a public defender. You don't want to go that route either. But these are the things that that they say are free, right? It's, it's nothing. Nothing is really free, man. Okay, they say that the free school lunch they closing that down. Okay, you got to qualify for a lot of these things. Okay, so this country doesn't have anything really free. Okay, and therefore, people are cornered. Okay, in a market where they have to pay for everything. Okay, and in the midst of paying for everything, right? You're not owning anything, okay? Because the government owns all of this stuff, man. Okay? Now, I got this scripture, Proverbs 22:7, right? It says, "The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender." Okay? So, I've said before, right? It, if you spend, let's say you got a 9 to 5, right? Monday through Friday, you spend your whole week, 40 hours, right? You might do overtime or whatever, depending on, different situations. Okay? But after you get paid, you got taxes coming out, right? You got bills that you got to pay, which the bills don't stop. You might got, well, with the bills, you got all, that entails all different types of things. You got rent, or mortgage. You might have, um, gas and electric, um, phone bill, credit card, all of these different things. Okay, and somebody will go to a car dealership and say, they'll come off the car lot, and thinking that they own this car. You don't own that car. You're financing it. Okay? And then when you do that, right? You got to get the registration, insurance. So if you're spending all your time at work, who are you really working for? Okay? And then you let's say you deal with credit. Some people don't want to deal with credit. Let's say you deal with credit. You borrow it from somebody. The amount of interest that you may have to pay on what you borrow is crazy. You go get a loan. So all your living or working, if you want to call this living, of going to work, trying to come home, don't really have no time. Some jobs they give you a week or two of, vacation time. Some people, some people got it better. Okay, this is case by case scenario, but the point is that Proverbs 22:7, that the rich rules over the poor. Okay, and with the rich ruling over the poor, that entails that there's really nothing free. They don't give you nothing for free. Okay, the government does not give nothing for free. Nothing is freely given. Okay, the food welfare, aspect, right? It's supposed to be trees, bearing fruit. Okay, but what city do you know that actually has, you know, uh, a downtown area where it's free fruit, right? Heck, you don't even got um uh water fountains like that anymore. What happened to that? Out here in Baltimore, we don't have that. It might be a different, case in different cities, but the water fountain, water is free. Fruit is supposed to be free, but ain't nobody. It ain't no welfare people. If they hungry, you just walk down, the street and go, pick an apple from off of a tree. It's not freely out there like that. You want an apple, you gotta go to the store and you gotta pay for something. You gotta pay for whatever. Okay, you gotta get gas to go to the store. Okay, or get a lift or get it delivered. Okay, now like I said, you got it's case by case scenario, right? But even still, if you um own your own spot, who you got where did you eventually you had to go get you know that seed or something like that, unless you had inherited or whatever, you know. But the point is, you're not going to escape the bills and the bull crap in the society. Okay, people think that they own something, but when let that government step in, okay, you're gonna find out that you really don't own anything. Okay, and you don't have to learn the hard way. Okay, now so you can say that you happy with your current situation, because different people may be happy, and one of the things, because I asked, what is financial freedom, right? And it says financial freedom is more than just having a lot of money. It's about reaching a point where you're not controlled by financial stress, debt, or dependence on a system, right? It means your needs and some wants can be met without being trapped in a constant cycle of working just to survive or relying entirely on others to sustain you. Okay? And this is a lot of people in this country hopes and dreams that they can achieve that financial freedom. Okay? Where they not, in that constant cycle, having to get up on that hamster wheel, you know, continually. Okay? But you gotta realize that that hamster wheel don't fucking stop, and you know, um, you might got off of that constant thing, but you never really able to escape, man. Okay, if that's the case, then why are these athletes having to still pay taxes? Okay, why do people? Oh, I should say celebrities. Okay, why do they still work? Okay, and some people, may have broken the code, to the financial, things, but eventually it's all going to come to a halt. It's all going to come to a stop, a complete stop. Okay. Um, it says core aspects of financial freedom. It says no or very little debt. You owe no money that controls your decisions, right? Enough savings and assets. You have resources to cover emergencies without panicking. Um, Income that covers expenses without strain. Okay, could come home from work, investments, a business or passive income. Okay. Independence from from the system. Okay, not having to depend on the government programs and stuff like that, right? Freedom to make choices led by values, not desperation. Okay. Um, it says contentment, stewardship, and generosity. Um, so that's what the Bible promotes, right? Godliness with contentment, right? Is great gain. It says true financial freedom in the biblical sense is having enough to meet your needs, bless others, and obey God without being enslaved to debt, greed, or fear. Okay? When we go into the scriptures, it's all about our daily bread. Okay? That's the main focus. But, you know, get this scripture, because eventually when all this stuff comes to a halt, okay, the famine happens. Some people, everybody ain't gonna get hurt or touched by that. Okay, history has shown. Okay, um, and the scriptures of when famines happen, some people are more prepared than others. Okay, now the people who are preparers now, okay, over preparing, right? Doomsday preppers and all that stuff, right? Some of them really aren't prepared for what's about to go down, okay? Because the people who don't have, the have-nots, okay, are going to go after the people who do have. You got to be prepared for that. Now, some people, they may be trying to get a coalition and, the military might and all that stuff to, come together for, for those things. Okay, for the, okay, we grow this, we get the weapons, and, um, we have the resources, or the community, necessary to survive certain things. But, you know, when it's all said and done, man, a lot of these people going to be losing their minds. Okay, especially if you depended on the government. Okay, Isaiah 31:1, it says, "Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help." Right now, like I said, in the scriptures, you had some people, right, that were more prepared for disasters as they came than others. Okay, and one of the people that was always prepared when you go into it was Egypt. Okay, Egypt had the answers, and people would go down to Egypt, to try to find some, some type of help. Okay, some resources. Now, in this type of scenario that's going to come, right, from the society, Jacob's trouble, um, dollar bill collapsing, etc. People are going to be going to the government to get answers, and one of those things that's free on, from off that list is, the FEMA resources, right? It says, and stay on horses and trust in chariots because they are many, and in horsemen because they are very strong. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord. Okay, so people are going to be going to, these camps, okay? Because you're not going to have anything for these emergencies that's really about to happen, okay? It says, yet he also is wise and will bring evil. The the disaster, the things that are going to be going on out here, right? These are man-made, okay? Man-made famines, um, the market. They done cornered the market, okay? You people don't even realize it. You just so going along with the get along that you don't realize that the whole setting is you being set up from the government, okay? Because you don't know about Satan's devices, okay? The different schemes and stuff like that they have, okay? And this is one of the schemes that is about to go on, because eventually they're going to want to mass, chip everybody. Okay, and when that happens, is what those people who do take that route, you're gonna end up being put to death. But that's what the top wicked elite, they want that, um the people to come to them, because they want complete and total control. Okay, so I just wanted to do this quick video, man. Okay, um, about not having anything, you know, and being happy. A lot of people are happy with the current circumstances, okay, that they deal with in this society, okay. But that's to their detriment, okay. So with that, Lord willing, this is edifying. I want to say shalom till next time.